Welcome back, listeners, to the Nice to Meet You podcast. This is your host, your girl, Lynette, and this is season 2, episode 14. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Frank, who is the host of the 336 Pull-Up podcast. Frank is also the creator of the Let's Be Honest podcast. He is a voiceover actor. He has the voice for you. Video and audio creator, podcast consultant, and producer. The 336 Pull Up Podcast is a show dedicated to Black and hip hop culture. They discuss news, sports, and their audience demographics is typically 27 years old and up. Join in with me and welcoming Frank to the Nice to Meet You podcast. We are truly excited that you took time out of your day to speak with us.
Hey, I appreciate you having me come on. It's a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you. So, in honor of MLK Day, his birthday is on January 15th, and we honor him on January 18th. I was like, I gotta dedicate a show to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So, can you kind of tell the listeners, like, what does Dr. Martin Luther King, what has he meant to you personally, and why do you feel like it's a need that we celebrate his day every year? What is he meant to this country and to you personally?
Absolutely. I think that growing up as a kid, that's one of the, especially in a Black household, that's one of the first great heroes that you hear about, right? There are plenty of them out there that don't get spoke about, but Dr. Martin Luther King is one of the first that you hear about. I remember my parents showing me footage of, the civil rights era and seeing him march, and they lived through that era. So it was kind of cool when I got older to really understand what the civil rights movement was about and to pick their brains about it, right? Because they lived through it, just like what we're living through now. At some point, kids are going to ask us about it, like, what were y'all thinking back then?
Yeah.
but he means a whole lot. I like to call him the pioneer of the civil rights era, just because of the things that he has done. And if you look at things like housing, the Fair Urban Housing Act that was passed by Lyndon Baines Johnson, I think it was in '64. When you look at the Voter Registration Act that was passed, all of those things we are owed to Dr. King.
Yes.
But then you also have to look at the people that Dr. King has molded and bred, right? So like in sports, you always hear about these great coaches and then the people that are under them. And then you hear about those people that were under them later, right? So, like John Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson, all of those people worked with Dr. King, Ralph Abernathy. All of these people are heroes that went on to continue to push his legacy. So, although things are not exactly where we want them to be as people of color, a lot has changed in comparison to how it used to be back in the 60s. And I think we owe a whole lot to him for that. And that's what he means to me. I mean, he's the first person I think of when you talk about pioneer of the civil rights movement and really getting people organized to move the cause forward for equal rights.
So who would you say is carrying on Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy today? So I feel like you named all those people, Ralph Abernathy, John Lewis, and people like that. But today, in 2021 or 2020, or just the past few years, who would you say is carrying on his legacy?
I'm going to say right now, as far as organization, it was interesting you asked that because I was just thinking the other day that this is the problem that we have right now. They were so organized, and you're starting to see that again, especially this summer, right? After everything that happened and popped off this summer. But to me, Stacey Abrams right now is carrying the torch, and shout out to her in Atlanta, because if you look at the organization that she did when they stole that election away from her, and you look at what she has accomplished, getting that many people to vote, explaining to people the rights, people that thought they couldn't vote, that actually could vote, coming and knocking on doors and saying, hey, we noticed that you haven't voted yet. Do you plan on voting? That takes a whole lot. And she literally did that in 4 years. And the way that she did it was she went back to grassroots organization, which is what they used to do in the 60s. So to me, she is becoming a pioneer for the millennium as far as organization, and showing other people of color, because a lot of times you hear stuff like, oh, you know, vote doesn't count for anything, it doesn't mean anything. She showed
She sure did.
everybody that that is not true and that your vote does count. So I would give that to her right now.
She's making sure that you're gonna remember, you're gonna say her name. You're gonna
That's right.
remember her. And so do you feel like the America is ready for a woman to lead? Like you compare, so I'll say Martin Luther King, he was a man, and then Stacey Abrams is a woman. Or do you feel like they would respect her like they respected MLK?
I would probably say the difference between the two when you look at what happened. Martin Luther King was very, very what's the word that I'm looking for? Uh he was very careful about, he had a strategy about the way that he went about making the way he moved, right? So like when he did the over the bridge, when they turned the dogs on him and all that stuff, and
Mhm.
turned the hoses on him in Montgomery and all that stuff.
Selma. So, mhm.
Yeah, in Selma. What ended up happening was he knew that this would be captured on television. He knew what the opposition was going to do. So he's very, very calculating about the way that he went about doing things. He's like,
Mhm.
no, this is something the whole world needs to see, right?
Yeah.
And so when the whole world sees it, they're like, that's not right.
Mhm.
White people, Jewish people,
Yeah.
everybody wanted to know, what can we do,
Mm.
right, to help. And then he brought those people on for his cause. Now it's like, okay, we really have to do something because we got white people joining blacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a problem, like for opposition, for
Mhm.
people that are opposed to the struggle during the time. Now Stacey Abrams is a little bit different. Hers is more, now it's a little bit more, it's still strategic, but it's a little bit more mental, right?
Yeah.
And it's you talk about jury, when you're talking about, divide and conquer, as far as moving where people can vote, mostly people of color, moving the districts, dividing this districts, making it harder for people who may not have transportation or who live in urban neighborhoods to get to the polls to vote.
Mhm.
Those are some things that she maybe couldn't control.
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know if the world is ready for a woman president or a woman to lead. A matter of fact, I know that in some people's mind, I had a guy that I worked with once that said, when Hillary Clinton was running,
Mhm.
and I was very, very taken back. The guy was like, I don't think a woman should be president. Doesn't matter what color she is. I was like, whoa. I was like, really? I was like, why do you
Okay.
think that?
Okay.
Now I was raised by a strong black woman,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter. When I see a strong woman standing up for what she believes in,
Mhm.
I respect them. Like, so when I heard him say that, I was taken back, and I asked him why, and he's like, oh, male chauvinist stuff, too many
Mhm.
moods, depending on what mood she's in. What you probably experience, if you heard as a black woman, is the angry black woman. They got
Yes.
an attitude. And
Mhm.
that's a stereotype, something that
Yes.
black men get all the time, right? But now
Mhm.
they're putting it on our women. And so people don't understand. My thing is this: if she's smart enough, if she has the experience, if she's about her people and everybody else, I don't have a problem with it. In actuality, I've always said, in my opinion, I think that a woman would do a better job than a man, because she's going to keep everything in line.
Yeah.
When you get out of line, she's going to call you to the carpet on it.
Yeah.
But she's also, some women have agendas, some do not. They all, we all have our own egos, but I always just feel like women want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not men. We're testosterone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Uh-huh.
my arm is bigger than your arm, right?
Yeah.
So there's an big ego thing there. So I'm not saying that women don't have egos, but I feel like women look at the bigger picture
Yeah.
and make a decision. And sometimes when you're leading, and this is the thing that people don't understand, sometimes when you're leading, it's not about, and you have to make a decision and you're president, it's not always about making the right or wrong decision. Sometimes it's just about making a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
when it's just about making a decision, you hope that you made the right one.
Mhm.
That's why you got to put good people around you, that someone that doesn't know as much as you,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter. You're not going to please everybody anyway.
You're not.
So those are the things I look at. But I I don't know if the world is ready for it. I think that women would definitely get behind him,
Hmm.
certain groups of women. But I also know that when you look at this couple of months ago, I think the number went up for the number of white women that actually voted for Donald Trump. So when they look at the
Which I don't
statistics,
understand, but
yeah, when you look at the statistics, they basically said that 3 out of 4 white women, if in your job, if you work somewhere, probably voted for Donald Trump. And so those are things that you got to keep in mind because some of those same women were probably out in the streets this summer
hmm,
amongst us with Black Lives Matter
yeah,
and calling themselves standing up, for, civil rights. So, but I'd love to see a woman lead. I think that Kamala Harris is a strong woman.
I do too.
Um, I know she's got some knock about some things, but she's also done a lot of good things that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
And I think she'd make a great leader. And I think that's why Joe Biden picked her.
I feel like I was more happy for her to win VP than him to be president. I'm just gonna be honest that
Mhm.
I was like something about kind of like the way she commands presence, the way that she just walks with confidence. Like she's so confident in who she is that I have no doubt. Now Hillary, I was teeter tottering about like I don't know about Hillary being a president, but I have no doubt with Kamala with her leading. And so with the black, like you said, like black women being angry and how she had to I think she had to suppress who she was in that debate. Like she had to like be just because she didn't want to come across as like an angry black woman. And I hate that we have that label. And I'm glad that you brought that to light. It's like we can't fully sometimes express what we really want to say. And it's like another woman of another race, she's just passionate.
Right.
She's just passionate when she speaks her mind. But us, we're aggressive and we
Right.
need to digress. So I'm glad that you brought that out. But
Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
yeah, so it's like, like if she didn't have that label or have to think about that stereotype, I'm sure like her publicist probably told her, be, such and such and such. But I hate that she has to do that. But she held herself with class. And so if Dr. King was available, I mean, if he was still with us today,
Mhm.
what would he say about the state of our nation? Will he be pleased? Like how if you just try to put yourself in his mind, what would you think he would say?
I would probably say that no, he would not be pleased. I think he would be taken back more so by the government and the way the government's approach, this new level of government that we have, blatant racism in your face, not a unapologetic. I can't say the word right now.
Unapologetic. I got it.
Yes,
I got you.
thank you. About how they feel, right?
Uh-huh.
When you look at, and it's funny because I was saying this the other day. When you look at how government was ran back in the day, no, everything wasn't perfect, but they believed more in bipartisanship than these branches of government or these politicians that we have now.
Mhm.
Um, they give you a little, and this is the thing. You get a little on one side, you get a little on this side, and then you come together and hopefully give the people something that they want. It's not
Yeah.
perfect, but it's a little bit better than nothing, and you can see progress.
Mhm.
You can't see progress from these new politicians because all politicians have their own agenda. Don't get me wrong.
Facts.
However, if I'm elected to the Senate or to Congress, or if you're elected to the Senate or Congress, and the first thing that you are told when you get there is, hey, listen, it's about the party. I don't care if Frank's bill is good or not, and you think that it's a good bill for the American people, say no to it,
Mhm.
right? How are we going to get anything done?
Yeah.
There's no way that we're going to. This is why you see what you see now. Mitch
Yeah.
McConnell has blocked over 275 bills that have come up that are supposed to be helpful to the people.
Mhm.
You know, when you look at what occurred the other day, the senator that, even though there's no proof of any type of conspiracy with votes and this and that, you had senators still standing up saying that they wanted to get rid of it. They didn't
One
want
of
to count.
my senator in Missouri, Josh Hawley.
Yes.
Mhm.
So when you look at this type of governing, these are people that are supposed to represent us. They're
Mhm.
supposed to represent you. They're supposed to represent the people. But what it's come down to is party and themselves.
Yep.
Because there's no way that you can get me if I'm a politician. My mom once told me that she was going to run for a very, very small position within her district as a council member. And the reason that she got out of it, she said, because it is a dirty, nasty business. She
Cutthroat.
said that the things that they were asking me to do, and my mother was a hustler, you know what I mean? But her thing was, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm unwilling to do what you're asking me to do, and I'm not sacrificing my, who I am as a person just to get ahead.
Yeah.
Some people don't care. Donald Trump is a perfect example of that. And then you have others that follow behind him. Ted Cruz is another perfect example of that. There's no way you're going to talk about my wife and say bad things about my wife, and then I'm going to turn around and act like we're buddy-buddy.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. So, no, he wouldn't be happy with it. I think he'd be very, very surprised at the way these politicians conduct themselves and how openly racist that they are.
Yeah, a lot of the racists came out of the closet after that guy in the White House. And I'm with you. Like, America is like, the government is supposed to be for the people, but they're fighting each other. It's all about, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and no matter if the Republican is wrong, like some of them have crossed over the line, like with the voting. You've seen that some of the Republicans did vote for Donald Trump to be impeached, but I feel like it's a lot of people just being concerned about a party. It's like, we're so concerned about, you're Republican, I'm a Democrat, and like, I like that Joe Biden, he's saying, now we haven't seen him, like, he's speaking a good game. He's saying that he wants to bring even the 70 plus million people that did not vote for him. Like, he wants to bring those people together. And I like that he's saying that, and I hope that he can bring us back together, because we're so divided.
Right.
Like, we're so divided. And I know we were divided back then. I didn't live during those times, but I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
Black people have more freedom, we have more rights, but still, I feel like we're so divided. And so I agree with you. If he was alive today, he would not be pleased. And so I was looking at parts of Dr. King's speech, and I pulled out a few lines that just, like, he sends me chills. And so I wanted to give you a couple of these quotes and just wonder, like, what are your thoughts on what he said? And so in Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, he is quoted in saying that America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. And he went on to say that there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. So after listening to those two quotes, do you feel like all the unrest that is going on today is caused by the continual injustices against Black people? Because he's basically saying that America is never going to prosper until they do right by Black people. And I think Charlemagne the God, I want to say he quoted that not too long ago. Like, America's paying for that. How do you feel about that?
I feel the same way, right? There's no way that I would have thought that I would be living during the time of this unrest that we saw this summer. There's no way that I thought I would have saw what we're seeing now, right? There's no, because I love history. I love anything from the Civil War era all the way through to the Civil Rights era. When you look at it and you go back and you look at some of those black and white photos, now they've done more movies, or you look at a documentary and you see that, you're like, yo, this hasn't changed.
Yeah.
The rioting, the police brutality. And you would think that things would be better in this age of technology. Cameras, phones being captured. When Rodney King got beat, it was captured on film, and that was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? But that had been going on for years, right? Now you fast forward to where we are now, where everybody has a smartphone, everybody has a camera on their phone, and they're capturing. We watched George Floyd die on camera, a police officer with his hands in his pocket.
Yeah. Posing.
With a smirk on his face. And it was okay.
Yeah.
So that tells you that there is still a problem with America. When all the news outlets and the media are starting to say, last week after what was happening, storm the Capitol. And then later on they say, it's funny, because when the peaceful protesters were out there, there was riot gear, there was tear gas, there were, armed to the teeth, right? And now these people are just allowed to just do whatever they want. And one of them said, one of the newscasters said it's because they're not afraid of the police.
Yeah. No.
That's and what I try to explain to people is that's the privilege that we talk about that they claim is not true.
Yeah.
That is the privilege. There's no way you could get a black person. I know there were a few of them in there, but I don't know what they were doing.
I don't know.
I don't know. But there's no way that you can get the everyday black person to say, let's go storm the Capitol. They're gonna be like, are you crazy?
Yeah, you wouldn't even get on the sidewalk.
Yeah. So there's no way that you could get that to happen. So it's just it's crazy. But that's the face of privilege. That's all it is. It's the face of privilege, and it's something that's been going on for years. And I think they woke up a little bit this summer, right? Because the one thing they don't want us to do is to come together.
Yeah.
When we start coming together, that's a problem. The other problem I think that they have is they're afraid. They're becoming the minority more and more.
Yeah.
And when we become the majority, things start to change.
Yeah.
Now, I don't always agree with some of the things that Joe Biden has done in the past. He acknowledged that we helped him get into office, which is great. But we still need to make sure that once he takes that oath next week, that we hold him accountable for the things that he needs to do for us. The other thing is this: we also need to make sure that he continues to he's creating his staff, and we continue to see what the world really looks like, not all white, people of color. And he's putting them in high ranking positions, which I really, really like. So I'm very proud of that, but I just need him to continue doing that.
So, but okay. And you may know, you say you love history, so you may, I hope I'm not misquoting this, but I want to say that America has apologized to groups of people. Like, they apologized to the Japanese when they put them in internment camps. I want to say that I believe they apologized to the Jewish, even though like that wasn't they apologized to them. When did they apologize to black people?
Very good question. They have not. I find it highly amazing that they talk about suppression, and I hope people understand what I'm saying, because I'm not disregarding what happened to the Jews, right? It was a terrible thing. And they were given reparations. Yeah. Because of the travesties that they experienced. The Japanese were given reparations, those that had nothing to do with war, those little countries or those little towns that we bombed. They were given some form of reparation. But you're going to tell me 450 years of suppression, depression, and slavery for people of color that you brought over to build this country? Yeah. To call us, 1/3 of a man or 1/5 of a man or whatever it is.
Well, it was 1/5, yeah.
Yeah, 1/5 of a man. To embarrass and humiliate black men in front of their families, divide their families, brothers and sisters, that mentally still impact us today. Yeah. So then when we get out of that period and you can't do that, you start to jail us and lock us up for any little thing. Yeah. When we get away from that and then we start getting some form of rights, you discriminate against me because even though my pedigree is better than that white person's pedigree, you hire that white person anyway. Thanks. When I want to go and buy a house in a potentially white neighborhood, I work just as hard as you did, but you won't allow me to live here because of my color. Yeah. Even though I can afford it, even though I may make more money than you, you don't want me living there because of my skin color, and you can't give us something? That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy.
It is crazy. Go ahead.
You find money to do everything else. And I'm not saying it needs to be in the form of a check. Heck, I'll take that tax code. Hey, don't charge me taxes for about 10, 20 years. Yeah. Anything that's going to help Black people from a financial standpoint. Yeah. Because when you think about it, when you hear people talk about, what's the word when they're talking about generational wealth? Yeah. Right. That's what happened to white people that are successful. Yeah. because they had more opportunities than we did in a time. And when that is spread over time and it keeps going from generation to generation to generation, this is where you get these 1% of people. Now, some of those people have earned their money. Jeff Bezos has earned his money, right? You know, he quit a job and he started a new one in his garage, a business that just took off. I respect that. But these people that are born into money and then turn around and tell Black people whose parents may not have had an opportunity, some of the same opportunities that they did, and then turn around and tell Black people that, hey, pull up your bootstraps and work hard.
Yeah.
We're already working hard.
Exactly.
I'm working harder because the color of my skin says that I have to, right? So it is really, really, I think it just, you know, when you hear these people talk about, well, I'm not sure about reparations, what do you mean? Some of this stuff, that Capitol building, that White House building, all of those things that you consider to be the epitome of government and land of the free, those are things that my ancestors and our people built. And people forget that.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you ever seen that video with the kids where the Black kids and the white kids line up on the line, and then they have the kids move up and they say, like, basically the reason that we talk about reparations, I know they're like, shut up with that and stuff like that, is that it's reality. We were always like, when the race started, we were back here and you got a head start. And so we just want the opportunity to be able to catch up with you, to have the same opportunities that you had. And that is all that we're asking for. It's like when those people got let go, they had nothing. Everything they had was wrapped up in their master. What did you expect them to build from what? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing, right?
That's right.
And so that's all that we're asking for. And I definitely want you to speak on this before we close it out, though. America has a perception of the Black man. They have a perception of the Black man. So I want you to break down what you feel America's perception of a Black man is versus your perception of what a real Black man is.
Yeah, absolutely. So America for years have had us as Black men, you know, stereotypical, big, strong, you know, man, scary man. You know, you've heard that for years. And there's so many stereotypes, right? As soon as, you know, like with the police and they give them the description, Black male, you know, that puts them on edge. Why? It's so funny because they perceive you one way, right? They expect you to speak this way, you know, or that way. And then when you speak this way, it's like, okay, wait a minute, right? But I think that America has so many stereotypes about us that, you know, we're all thugs, or we all of us wear our pants sagging, or we have an attitude all the time. Now, that very well may be the case. Now, if you do something wrong to us, yeah, we're gonna pop off because that's what we do, you know. But when you think about it, Black people, Black men, Black women, we're the most forgiving race that you have ever seen.
Yes.
You've ever seen. But as far as what America perceives, I think that some of America, to be honest with you, really don't know. They don't know what a black man is, or what a Black person is. And what I mean by that is they've never interacted enough with us to really get to know who we are as people. And so when you don't interact with something, or this is your first time dealing with something, it's kind of like scary, right?
Yeah.
If you've never drove a car and you're learning to drive, it's like, okay, I'm going to learn to drive because I got to learn to drive, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I think that in those rural areas, in those southern states and rural areas where you get that, you know, conservative brand of government, those Trump supporters, people like that, they don't know us because they don't understand us. Right? Now, what they should understand is that, yes, as Black men, we are, in my eyes, no matter what your view on things are, we are all princes, we are all kings, and Black women are all queens. But we are strong. But we're not strong in the sense of the way that you're depicting, strong for violence, strong, threatening, thugs. That's not who we are. Now, some of our circumstances may make us do things that we don't want to do, right? And I'm not saying that that is right either. I want to make that very clear, because I feel like everyone makes their choices. And if, there, you make your own choice. But I also understand that if this is all and this is what you were taught, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But who we are as people, we have strong hearts,
Mm-hmm.
we're strong minded, we're very intelligent, and we don't want anything given to us, to be honest with you. I don't know in my circles and the people that I interact with, I don't know anyone that wants a handout. They assume that. We don't want handouts. We work. Sometimes when you look at the statistics, the last time I looked, there are more white people on food stamps.
Yeah.
There are more white people on public assistance, as far as from what do you call it, WIC and stuff like that. Then there are black people. You know why? Because Black people have pride.
Yeah,
and that's something that they will never understand. We're not looking for handouts. That's why people make jokes like they always like, oh, like Jamaicans, you got 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we have pride. We don't want anybody saying that they gave us something and that's all they look for.
Yeah.
That's not true. We want to work hard. We want to live comfortably.
Yeah.
And we want to have a little something to pass on to our generation and to our kids or to our grandkids. What's wrong with that? The same thing that you get that's passed on and given to you and handed to you because your dad knows this guy that knows this guy that got you in. We want the same thing. And I think that's the misconception. That's who we are as Black men and as Black people. And here's the other thing that they don't understand. We have culture.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm glad
we have culture. We have culture. They really don't have culture. We have a culture. We can, if you ever do like one of those ancestry tests or whatever, and you look at where you came from, there's so much culture that you want to know about that we don't even know because it was taken away from us.
Yeah.
So, that's that misconception. And that's what I would want everybody in your listening audience to know. We have culture, and that perception, I think we're getting rid of that because as of last week, I was like, we just gonna sit back. I was looking at all the social media and stuff. We just gonna sit back and watch all of you fools go on up there so America and the world can truly see who you are. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, sit back with a big smile. Get your bowl of ice cream and just smile and watch it all unfold. And we have nothing, like you said, there's a few of us that were in the crowd. I don't know why, but overall, it wasn't us. And so it makes me think when you're speaking about culture, when Jalen Rose said, he was quoted and saying that he wishes America loved Black people as much as they loved our culture.
Yep.
What do you think about that? I feel like, they love our music. They love our clothes, our fashion, even tries to take our hairstyle sometimes. And it's like, I feel like America would not have a culture if it wasn't for Black people, to be honest.
Think about it. We're the cool ones.
Yeah.
We're what makes it cool. Think about it. How many times have you ever heard a white person jokingly say, dang, I wish I could dance. I ain't got no rhythm.
Yeah.
You Black, you got rhythm. Y'all got more rhythm. Well, there's a reason for it. Dance and drums and things like that started in Africa, right? So it's in our blood, right? Me personally, I can't dance. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't dance. Unless I'm, been drinking a little bit, but I can't dance.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just do that little 2-step and keep it moving. But yeah, so that's a strong statement, and that statement makes sense. I saw, a matter of fact, I saw a T-shirt, and I was like, "Yo, that's a really cool slogan." I said they love our rhythm, but I forgot what it was, but it was really something strong. They love our rhythm, but don't want our pain, or something like that.
Okay,
something to that effect. And with what Jalen was saying, think about it: dancing, music. Hairstyles,
sports, basketball, football.
They want us to entertain. They love, they want to be entertained. But when it comes to real problems, and we start talking about these things amongst Black people and people of color, they don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Or if we speak out about what's going on, doesn't matter how big we are and what type of platform, and we use our platform to do it, shut up and dribble. Or you shouldn't speak on those things. When I come to this, I look at like Facebook all the time, and I go in because I want to see what the racists have to say. And every now and then one will spark me to say something, but they'll say things like, I didn't come here to hear that because LeBron James has been speaking out this week. when I come to this, I come here to learn about sports.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That type of stuff. And I told the guys like, well, the fact that you said that, because he goes, it doesn't have to be, this doesn't have anything to do with race. And
Mhm.
I'm like, the fact that you said that clearly shows that it has something to do with race.
Facts.
Because why are you upset about LeBron James speaking out about something that is totally wrong
Yeah.
and speaking the truth,
Mhm.
right? I got a strike the other day because I took up for a black queen on a guy saying something that I said, hey, don't speak about black queen. Don't ever speak to a black queen like that. And I referred to him, and he reported me, and I referred to him as a privileged. I said, and this is what I said. This is what we're talking about. You're I called him like a privileged piece of trash. It wasn't even. I didn't use profanity or anything
Mhm.
like that, but he got the point. And
Yeah.
his face was like, "Oh, we're striking you for that." I was like, "Really?" He reported me. So it's stuff like that
Mhm.
that you look at it and it's like, come on, you'll come and cheer for me when
Yeah.
I'm on a basketball court, when I'm throwing the football and catching the football for your favorite team.
Yeah.
But as soon as I speak out about what you're doing to my people, you go against me.
Yeah.
You look at the history; we've all been through. All of our athletes, all of our prominent celebrities have been through it.
Mhm.
Muhammad Ali went
Yep.
through it when they stripped him because he didn't want to go and fight over in
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yep.
Jim Brown spoke about it. I don't know what has happened to Jim since then because he was in there with Trump in the first couple of years,
Yeah. Yeah. He.
and which was very, very surprising for me. But back in the day, he was right there with everybody else.
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte, awesome. What he used to do back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, so it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we as a people are changing things around.
We are.
And I think that there are people that are willing to help us that
Mhm.
understand that the things that we have went through in the past and the things that are going on right now are all relevant.
Mhm.
And I also think you have a younger generation of white kids that are coming up that have more interaction with black people,
I agree.
that know about culture and understand, and they're like, yo, this is dumb, this is like the
Yeah.
dumbest thing ever, and they're letting their parents know. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know I don't know how old you are, but as you move forward, we're not going to see it until, unfortunately, like our kids, or if you have nieces or nephews,
Mhm.
you around, those are going to be the ones to be like, to be able to say it. But like someone says that they're racist, they're going to look at them like they're crazy. Like, what, dude? You're
Yeah.
racist. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's not going to happen to then. And I think that you're seeing the change, and I think that those have been around for a while that want things to stay the same are afraid of that.
Yeah, I agree because like the little girl, she was doing the Black Lives Matter and little 9-year-old, and the lady's like, "Oh, you're attacking a 9-year-old." It's like I
Right.
feel like the younger white generation is coming together. You see more of them out protesting with Black Lives Matters. Like I turned on
Yeah.
the TV, I'm like, man, it's more of them than it is of us. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's when change will really happen because like they're tired of us running our mouth complaining. They're always complaining about something. And when they
Hmm.
see other colors out there with us, and another thing I was thinking about when you were speaking was Maria Taylor. She's a NBA analyst, and she also does the college football and stuff like that. And how they give
Right.
Maria Taylor so much flack, and like Jalen Rose, I'm glad that he stands up for her. How Jason Williams, they stand up for her because Michelle Beadle, she was on ESPN talking smart, going off, and nobody never said anything about Michelle Beadle. But now
Yeah.
Maria Taylor is this black powerful woman. She speaks her mind, and it's like I'm glad that the black Jalen Rose, and they come to they come and they protect her. I'm
Yep.
so appreciative of that. And Frank, this has been an amazing conversation, and I almost don't want it to end. But can you plug your podcast? And I would love the
Yeah.
people to keep in contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the podcast is, I have two of them. The Let's Be Honest podcast is a more serious podcast. Um, Definitely have some phenomenal interviews. If you're familiar with Jane Elliott, she did the Brown Eyes, Blue
Okay.
Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. Oh,
most,
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, most people recognize her from like the video. They don't know who she is, but she speaks out bluntly about racism.
Yeah. She was on Oprah.
So
Oprah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I had a great epic interview with her, and that's on the Let's Be Honest podcast. I haven't done
Okay.
anything on that one for a while because I've just been dealing with this one. But there are a lot of great episodes there. But you can also find me at obviously the 336 Pull Up podcast, which is a more funny, more adult oriented uh, um, podcast. But we do touch on everything. We touch on dating, we touch on politics, we touch on sports in our own funny, unique way. And we also have guests that come on. So you can also find me at Instagram. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's Frank _Stylz, which is Stylz. And you can also follow the 336 pull up page on Instagram as well.
And what platforms can you listen to the podcast on?
Yeah, just about. It's on every streaming platform. Definitely Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor. If they have podcasts, you more than likely will find it. I know I'm on at least 10 or 12, maybe 10 to 12. But yeah, the most common ones, you probably definitely can. You're definitely going to find me there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, this has been a truly amazing conversation. Is there any like quote or anything, any type of encouragement you want to leave with the listeners before we close it out?
Um, the one that always stands out to me. Actually, there are two, but the one that stands out to me that I like is those that do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. So
Yeah.
that's a big one. And then the other one is the bigger the lie, the more people will believe
Wow. You dropped some big ones on us.
it.
No, no, no. Thank you, Frank. This has been truly amazing conversation, and I feel like Dr. King will be honored. Dr. King will be honored with this episode. So you all check that out. Check out the 336 Pull Up Podcast and the Let's Be Honest. Tap in, tune in, hit them up. All right. And you all know. Oh, I always forget to say this. If you're listening, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that bell, subscribe to the channel so you never miss when a new video drops. If you're listening on Apple, go ahead, drop that review, hit that 5th star. You know you can do it. I appreciate all of you listeners. And you all know I cannot leave you without quoting my favorite scripture found in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the thoughts I think towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. God's going to bring us to our expected end. So you go out there this week, you continue to be great, you continue to be amazing. Until next time, nice to meet you. Let's go.